G'day guys, this is a quick video in relation to my recovery post-operation from herniated disc L5S1. This is the third little video that I'm putting together. This one specifically is post-operation weeks 3 and 4. Weeks 3 and 4 for me were still quite dark, unfortunately. Psychologically, was still very much down in the dumps, still very emotional. Still negative in large patches, unfortunately. Putting on the facade, obviously, making everybody feel as though, or around me, telling them, yeah, no, I'm fine, but still plenty of demons, unfortunately. Combination of reasons that could probably be, I guess it's main factor being there was still so much pain that was still present in weeks 3 and 4, unfortunately. I felt as though maybe, I'm not getting better still. Even though there was an improvement certainly from weeks 1 and 2, I felt as though maybe I should be, I guess, more further ahead, or feeling less sore, I should say, and the durations of these muscle, or should I say nerve spasms, I'm going to call them. I felt as that those durations should have got less, and how regular they came on, but unfortunately they were still coming on quite aggressively. Still required lots of pain relief, unfortunately, and again, taking all those is helpful in managing the pain, but unfortunately not very helpful for managing the way you feel physically and psychologically, in terms of sometimes you feel a little bit sick and nauseous and no appetite, and on top of that you feel, I felt quite depressed, to be honest with you. But again, there was certainly some improvement from weeks 1 and 2, I must admit, which was great. There was noticeably a lot of regression, and I guess because now I was walking, or attempting to walk more, it was more measurable, the regression, I should say. So typically I felt as though, if today I did 7 trips to the front door, and that it was an absolute must to do 8 trips the next day. And if I didn't, I just would fall back into a massive slump if I couldn't get it. I was just fatigued, or the pain was just too much. Sometimes it was sort of, I guess, in some ways self-inflicted also, due to, I guess, trying to recover as quickly as possible. Some days I'd say, okay, today I did 8, and I feel as though I can do 9. So you do 9, you say, okay, I've surpassed the task, and I've improved, which is great. But then you think, oh, I think I can get 1 more out, and it's that 1 more that sort of you get out, and then you're excessively fatigued. But then the following day, it seems to I don't know, it seemed to have an impact on myself personally, physically, where I'd feel I'd regressed, and then there was probably a bit more pain and discomfort. But that's just all the muscles and everything starting to work again, and there's going to be that muscle soreness. But again, in my head, that was, oh, this isn't working again, and falling back into that vicious cycle, unfortunately, that feeling of down in the dumps, and feeling as though things weren't successful again. And it was, quite unfortunate that I'd, have a few days where I'd start to feel a little bit more positive, and I'd, focus on the little wins, and then you'd have this day where, of regression, which is completely fine, looking back, but at the time I couldn't digest that really well, and it played havoc on me, to be quite honest with you. So still very dark, very down the dumps, lots of opioids, sleep patterns were still horrible, maybe 2 hours at a time. I remember speaking to a very good friend of mine who's been through many surgeries, and it was a really, really, really good phone call. It was actually at the end of week 4, so coming to the close of week 4, and he basically asked me, how I was feeling, and this particular person's been keeping tabs on me quite a bit, thankfully. And they basically said to me, sometimes when you want something so much, it's actually a reminder to yourself that you don't actually have it, and it can be a little bit counterproductive in a sense. So I was so focused on, if I don't have 2 hours sleep today, I'm gonna have 2 hours and 10 tomorrow, and 2 hours and 15 the day after. Otherwise, I'm not winning. Sometimes you just got to sort of say to yourself, okay, all right, I haven't increased the duration day to day, but I'm still getting something. I'm getting sleep, so that's a positive. I'm like, okay, I'm sleeping 2 hours. Look at the positive in that. It's 2 hours I didn't sleep. There's 2 hours of sleep extra that I didn't have. So looking at things and taking a step back and your perspective on what is a win, and stop focusing on things that are, you're pushing yourself to I guess to acquire, unless otherwise you feel it's a failure, can sort of set you back. And it did, and it was at that point where I believe at the end of week 4 where psychologically things started to really change for me. Even though the physical side was still very, very painful and still dealing with so much pain and suffering, I felt a connection with myself and my body to say, hang on a sec, let's look at all the small things. Today you sat in the chair and you completed your dinner without having to feel fatigued and having to say, look, excuse me at the dinner table, I've got to go lay down halfway through your dinner. Look at that. Hey, you did that. Great. That's fantastic. That's awesome. It was just really, really, really small things I started to focus on, and then I stopped worrying about, okay, did I stand in the shower for 20 seconds longer than yesterday without using the shower chair and the assistants and all that sort of stuff. So, sort of let go of that sort of stuff and focus more about what do I need to do to get better, and am I getting better? And yes, I am getting better, because last week I couldn't do this, and over the course of this week I've done this. So look at that and focus on the positives, and that really, really, really helped me at the back end of weeks 3 to 4. But again, it was still really, really tough psychologically and physically. I was nothing like any of the videos that I'd watched specifically on YouTube in relation to other people's recovery and their experiences. Mine was certainly far from that. I was still suffering a lot of acute pain and still getting right up there, and the durations of the pain was still quite long, requiring massage, heat packs, ice packs, compression, squeezing, hand massage, you name it. I did it and tried it, laying certain ways, stretching, pointing your toes forward, pointing your toes back, all these sorts of things. So just wanted to touch on how I was in weeks 3 and 4, and if anyone out there is feeling the same way, obviously it's just I guess something to be a bit more relatable. As I said, these videos are only put up because I didn't find anything the whole time that I watched videos, trying to find that comfort or someone to relate to. I couldn't find anyone that was sort of feeling the same way, especially the psychological, the psychological sort of warfare that I was suffering, more or less. It doesn't get spoke about, unfortunately. But now that I'm in between weeks 5 and 6, that psychological battle is going extremely well. And as I said, at the end of the week 4, that phone call did a lot for me. My way of thinking, and I think that body and mind connection is extremely important and very helpful in your recovery. So if you are feeling the way I've mentioned, it's completely okay, completely normal. Don't think you're not normal, as I did. And there is some good, much more measurable and better things ahead in weeks 5 and 6. For myself specifically, it has been certainly so much better than 3 and 4, extremely better. So I'm very happy about that. And the next video I'll touch on my recovery weeks 5 and 6. Thank you.